Morning, guys. Just thought I'd do a quick update. A couple of people asked me, can I do an update on what's going on and everything else. I'm still at work. I arrived sort of the day after, the day before the flight sort of got cancelled from flying to Spain. So I was quite lucky I did get to get home before that. So I'm sort of stuck in the UK for a bit. Plus side, I did manage to get my little BMW, so that's been quite nice. It's nothing too fancy. It's only a what's it the a what's one series M3 Sports, but anyway, but it's quite a little fun car to drive around in because it's quite nippy around town. But yeah, the Corona stuff, I've got to admit, for me, I've sort of been looking at it and thinking, well, where is it going? In the sense of nobody really seems to have planning around the exit strategies yet. And I can understand it's a bit difficult because of the unknowns at the minute. But there's many things that could actually be done to make life easier for people. You can have some relaxation. It's just injecting some common sense into it. And I know that can be hard with people sometimes. But I think people have been in lockdown, especially in places like Spain, too long now. And yes, the mortality rate's high and etc. etc. But I would also say that what's the true statistics on the chances of everybody getting this? Probably about 90% of the population, in my personal opinion. So the odds are it's not really going to make any difference whether you go down the supermarket or go to the park. The reality is that 90% of the population is probably going to end up with this, in my personal opinion. If that's the case, then all it's doing is taking the strain off the health service, but sooner or later, odds are you're going to end up with it. So there's no quick, short answer on that, but reality is that I do think that most people are going to end up with this in some form, in my personal view. So just keep safe. It's a good time to get fit. Get the old yoga pants out and do your daily workouts. April and the kids have been quite busy with that. Not yoga pants, but actually every day they're having like 2 or 3 fitness sessions in the house, running around the house and whatever. Plus, like, still doing schoolwork because the school's still providing stuff, along with stuff they're doing themselves, and just keeping as active as possible. But I will say it's not an easy thing. I mean, me in the UK, it's fairly restrictive because this isn't an area I live in the sense of it's an area I work in. So I don't have many friends that in this area whatsoever. So I'm sort of stuck here. Can't go home to Spain. But one thing I can do is crack on with work, and I've been quite lucky in the sense that work is very, very busy. So I've been able to just carry on with the work. And that's kept me occupied. But even then, I've got to admit, I'm not a person who likes to sit still. I like to be out and about. I like to be doing stuff. I'm not one to just sit around. So it has been very difficult for myself personally. So I can understand why people are starting to get a bit stir crazy and starting to maybe even break curfews and whatever to do stuff, because it's very, very difficult not to be doing something. That's why I find it very funny when people are talking about, well, they went to the garden centre. They go, you know what? Who cares? Social distancing is probably going to be a long-term thing anyway currently. It's at least till the midterm. So you're looking at probably at least the next 12 months of some form of staying away from people. So the reality is, who cares? You know, if they need to go and get some planks of wood and build a birdhouse or whatever, guess what? It helps keep them sane, you know. I really don't understand why people are obsessed whether they've got gone to the gardening shop or gone to the supermarket, because as long as they adhere to social distancing, etc., I have no problem with it. I mean, I can understand where people have sort of said, well, hang on, people are going out like 6-7 times a day, but even then I'm sort of going, yeah, but different people have different tolerances. You know, myself, I've got to be busy. I know other people are quite happy to sit at home all day, and even when there's no lockdown, they would still be sat at home anyway. I don't do daytime TV, for example. I don't do sitting around very much. I'm not into it. I always got to be doing something. So I can't understand why it's an issue as long as people are using a bit of common sense. And that's the hard bit, is getting people to use common sense. I will admit that. Because a lot of people just don't. But as long as rules are adhered to and people are sensible with it, taking into account other people, I don't see it being a problem. But beyond that, I'm doing all right. My family are doing well, and I'm just sort of stuck in limbo, but cracking on with work. I've got a lot of stuff to do this year. We've got 2 projects. I've got a meeting, an important meeting in about an hour, around the work for this year, and hopefully things will start being normalised probably next week. I've got to admit, because I'm working in certain circles, there is a lot more activity than you're seeing on the news, because there's a lot of stuff that goes through governments and whatever, where there's discussions and it sort of gets relayed down. Sort of starts off as rumours, then sort of gets later on backed up with facts. So I'm suspecting that the UK will see some more relaxations over the next week. Don't get me wrong, we're not talking about going back to business as usual, but there could be some changes in the next week. Spain, I think they're talking about the kids at the moment, because originally they were saying the kids could go at the pharmacy with their parents or whatever, and there was a bit of a fuss kicked up about that because the kids are going mad in the houses with all that energy and nowhere to go. So it's sort of like, well, the kids want to go for a walk because they're not allowed to go for a walk, but they can go at the pharmacy. So they're sort of changing it now, and I think there's some guidance coming out on that. But it just sort of highlights that some of this stuff isn't really thought out very well. Don't get me wrong, I'm not running the government, but I personally don't really have an issue with people walking or whatever if social distancing is adhered to, etc., like parks. Instead of having people zigzag, put them in a circular motion or something, so people maintain a distance. They don't walk next to each other, they don't walk in opposite directions. Just becomes like a carousel. You walk in and you walk out the other end and just go, and it just a bit of common sense, but it means that people could walk a couple of miles a day just for a bit of exercise without even coming into contact or near somebody. Just a bit of thoughts. Anyway, thanks for watching, mates, and take it easy, keep safe, and have a wonderful week.